welcome to the show today. The topic this morning is Malcolm X in New York. And we're fortunate to have with us to talk about Malcolm X and some of the activities that he involved himself in while he was in New York, Brother KLillard. And of course, Lillard is the president of the African American Cultural Alliance in Nashville, Tennessee. Of course, Lillard, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Glad to be here this morning.
And to tell you how delighted we are to have you here this morning.
We're glad that you have this program on, Brother Haney, because you're recording history for all our great-great-grandchildren, Brother Haney.
But I tell you, the kind of information that you have is worthy of being recorded, because as we said, we've had you on a number of occasions. As a matter of fact, quite recently we did Nashville, the Battle of Nashville with you, and you gave us excellent information. And what we'd like to do today is to talk about Malcolm X. But before we get into Malcolm X, let's talk again about Leo Lillard, because some individuals might not know you, and I would imagine there are only a very few who might not know you, but in order to deal with Malcolm X in New York, let's talk about you in Nashville, Tennessee, and your background and how you eventually ended up in New York. Well,
I was a junior at A&I State University, majoring in mechanical engineering, and the opportunity came for me to become a local leader in the civil rights struggle in Nashville, and I jumped at the opportunity, having to count and weigh whether or not it would impact my family, whether or not there'd be repercussions on my family who lived here. Unlike many of the leaders of the Sioux City movement, they were from out of town, but I was a local leader. And that always caused some trepidation about what's the impact of that what's on your family. But once I became involved, I couldn't back up. I had to balance the need to become an engineer with the need to become a civil rights fighter. And I was lucky enough, and God gave me the wisdom and I guess the fortune to be able to graduate in '61 with a degree in engineering, and also to become very instrumental in all of the major critical issues of that period, from the sit-ins and the lunch counters, the stand-ins at the movies, to the aid in for the farmers in West Tennessee who were evicted, to the Freedom Rides in '61, to the H.G. Hills protest in '61 summer. By that time, as a veteran local person, you become identified. And the Klan and the right wing were burning up my cars, shooting at my dad, and shooting at me. So at the conclusion of the summer of '61, I opted to determine what I should do with the rest of my life, whether I was going to live past the summer. And there was the issue of the draft board. I was 21 years old, and the draft was looking mighty hard at me. Fortunately, I was able to deal with the Quakers and deal with the issue of whether or not I could fight honestly for a country that didn't respect me as a human being. So I ended up, the Quakers recommended I go to Philadelphia, work with the Quakers, and take an assignment as alternative service to go to India, take my engineering degree, and to help the southern part of India in terms of its technical needs. So I ended up in Philadelphia with the Quakers, and that project ran out because I couldn't get a passport thanks to J. Edgar Hoover. So I ended up getting a little disgusted, a little frustrated, and decided to take a bus from Philadelphia one afternoon to big, glamorous New York City. And I walked out on Times Square, all Baptist boy, civil rights, you know, advocate, not a clue what the Big Apple looked like. And for the next 2 years, I tried to explore the metropolis and learn the incredible variety of people and food and styles of life and speeches and accents. And of course, one of the things I had to do was to go to Harlem. And of course, I was a civil rights activist, and I'd be asked to sing civil rights songs, We Shall Overcome, and Black and White Together. And once I was there doing that, and a young brother with a really beautiful bow tie suit said, "Brother man, you need to come here to minister." I said, "What minister are you talking about?" "My minister is Kelly Miller Smith." No, he said, "Not the minister in the South, not as he called him, chicken-eating Baptist minister. Come see a real minister." And I was incensed. I was mad. I said, "What you mean, talking about my minister?" He said, "I'm talking about Malcolm X, brother." I said, "Who is Malcolm X?" He said, coming here.
That was the first time you had heard.
Yes. I was insulted because my minister was Kelly Miller Smith, you know, Andrew White, A.Z. Kelly, and this guy was called Malcolm X. Why would he have a name like X? And why would I want to hear any man named X, right? So reluctantly, I went back to Harlem one afternoon, and there's a huge throng of people. And there's this little raised platform, and there's this fiery speech being made by a man named Malcolm X. First thing he talked about was how foolish it was for people like myself who devoted themselves to civil rights, to making America respect us, and give us a chance to prove how good we were.
Okay, and of course, let's hold it right there, Brother Lillard, and we'll pick up at the second part when we come back after this first commercial break. That's exactly what we want to hear. We'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. The topic is